page Kuf Ein Gimel, towards the bottom, finishing off this section on flattery. V'inyan hahu tokolas ktsas chochmei ador hazeh. This matter of flattery, people accepting flattery, he spoke about the leader of the community or the one who distributes charity, or the dayan, having to be very careful about accepting flattery and the like. He said this has affected some of the wise men, the rabbis of his generation. Shem rodfim lehenois min ha'am, because they are running after deriving benefit from the people. Just a little bit. It's just a little problem. Alken yachnifu lehem kedei sheyachziku otam beheskaz gedula. Therefore, the rabbis themselves use flattery in order to gain a following. Sheyachziku otam beheskaz gedula, so that people will consider them to be great. It's one thing to be warm and friendly and, endearing, because you feel like it's the Ratzon Hashem, that there should be camaraderie and fellowship felt among Jews, and if you're in a position that you have a positive influence on others, that together you help each other serve Hashem better, that's one thing. But to use these kind of, friendly feelings and slaps on the back and everything else, just to kind of basically collect together a group of people around yourself because you want to be, a rabbi, you want to be a Rabbi, you want to be the leader. So that would be wrong. That would be wrong. It's really about looking for kavod, right? The person's looking for kavod. He spoke about here how a person who, generally speaking, looks for kavod is generally going to be susceptible to using flattery. It's not enough. Meaning, it's bad enough that these rabbis, these leaders, don't rebuke people in the different matters that need to be correcting because they're looking for a following. But since they are, buttering them up, so they also go in the ways of the people where those ways themselves they should be correcting. This is a big issue nowadays in Kiruv, I think. I mean, it's really in any community, but in Kiruv, you can have a person who is making every effort to establish good relationships with people in order to make a good impression on them, ultimately for the purpose of bringing them closer to Torah and mitzvahs. Let's say that's void of gaiva. It's really not about his making other people religious. He humbly views himself as a servant of Hashem trying to show other people the beauty of the Torah. He's just a spiritual kind of, real estate agent. Or he's a shadchan. He's trying to make a shidduch between a yid and a Kadosh Baruch Hu. Fine. Okay? Now, realistically, that's not true because everybody has a personality. And people are going to feel like they've invested, they've tried, they've talked, they've convinced, everything else. And they're charismatic and the whole thing. So they're bringing loads and loads of people back to Yiddishkeit. That's a little more problematic because the person really is making himself an issue out of all of this when he shouldn't be. But it can get even worse. Not that he's looking for the credit of doing something as important as that, right? Rather, he just wants to make himself the center of attention. And then he's actually using Hashem, using the name Kiruv to gain followers, to gain a following. Right? That's even worse. He doesn't really care about Hashem. He doesn't really care that people are being observant. Hashem and observance is a hechitimtze It's a venue through which he's able to express his gaiva of impressing other people and getting them to believe in him and to follow what he says and everything else. Right?
Yeah, but he has to get involved in it.
He doesn't have that.
He doesn't have.
He doesn't have to.
But
He doesn't have to. But I'm talking about a person who is very much involved and he's excited and enthusiastic, and that's part of his draw. But what he's enthusiastic and excited about is Mr. Kiruv. That's me. Yeah, super Kiruv. So before you know it, what does this guy do? He goes to the bars and he hangs out with the guys and he has a few drinks, and before you know it, he starts flirting with the girls. It wouldn't touch him or anything, but he's got this whole routine here, and the girls like him because he's like spiritual and not dangerous on the one hand, but he's like cool on the other. So the girls dig him,
Right. What if his intention is actually to get people to get closer to Jesus?
So let's say that's like the previous step,
right?
Like the previous notch, one notch up.
I feel like I'm not a Kiruv guy, but I feel like I've been in that situation before.
Yeah. So I'm trying to portray how problematic this really can be.
Okay.
Yeah. So clearly, the third case that I talked about, right? The guy is just interested in having a good time, and he wants to be the center of attention. And in order to do so, he might go into the bar and hang out with the guys and have the beers and mess around with the girls and tell jokes and be the whatever. But he's really just socializing.
Right.
yeah, right.
So that's no good.
Well, how is he supposed to do his job?
That's his question.
Right.
What about, let's go one step up the wrong again, right? Where he really is, right? He really does believe in Hashem and he believes in Kiruv, yeah? He happens to feel quite good about his role in it, yeah? But he really knows he's doing it for Hashem. He's enjoying it along the way, right? Now he has to decide, what should I do? So this guy, unlike the third guy, who there's no question, he loses the game hands down, yeah? Hands up, whatever. But the second guy's got a problem. How far he's going to go in the name of Kiruv? He's very likely to start acting like these people in the name of Kiruv, and that's a problem. I remember, it's going to rub off. I remember once I was staffing a Kiruv event, a large Kiruv event with a lot of people, and there was the highlight of the evening was a particular event that was supposed to take place at night, and the staff was looking around like, where is everybody? There were a few guys, but half of the guys were missing, and we started looking for everybody. Where was everybody? So it turns out that they were actually watching a movie with one of the rabbis somewhere else in the facility. And we could not believe what was going on here.
What kind of movie?
The truth is, it doesn't matter. Right. Yeah.
Maybe they're watching this Discovery Channel.
Yeah. Look, they were not watching pornography, that's for sure. But I don't think they were watching a history shir by Rabbi Wine either. They're watching a movie. Yeah. And I never forget. We went into this room and opened the door. It was like a dark room, and you just see everybody's face glued to the screen, and there was blue light. I could not believe this. I mean, there was a schedule. There was a thing. We were working towards something. There was this event. It was supposed to be an important thing. And somebody on staff was watching a movie with these guys. And after it was look, the guys, they just wanted to lay down, have some wind down time. And I didn't want them to be alone because who knows what they'd end up doing. So I was there. So everybody would come. That's problematic.
Oh, it's in this week's part. No, not this week's portion. Not this week's, but we're going over it in Kuzir when Aaron helped with the making of the golden calf.
Golden calf, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, according to, it's a very problematic story in itself. It's true, but according to one explanation, Aaron was involved in order to at least minimize the degree of severity of what they were doing. Is that what you're getting at?
No, actually the complete opposite.
That what?
I just realized that he was there in order to show who was the... he was kind of held in order to show who were the people who were actually trying to do idolatry. That's what I heard.
That what? That he was here. He was there in order to see. In other words.
Just point down.
Yeah, no, just he didn't stop them because he wanted to know who were the ones who would actually do it.
Uh huh.
I don't know. That's what I heard.
Yeah. Look, like I said, it's a very enigmatic parsha, and I'm sure there are a lot of explanations
I
that.
just realized it's a complete.
But in any case, a person has to be very careful. How far you're going to go with the people in order for the people to be with you. Because ultimately, rather than drawing the people towards you, you can be drawn towards the people. And that's a problem. And that's a problem. I'm just saying that I think it's particularly common in kiruv type situations nowadays. It's a very difficult situation to be in.
Especially because
Who's being Makarev who he wants to he yotze the karev and imtza miskarev. Yeah, like a korban.
Well,
It's some sacrifice.
Again, you have to lose. You don't have to, but you're bound to. There's a give and take here. So sometimes they enjoy it.
Yeah. Not every personality is suited for this type of thing.
They have rules about it. They have, even when you go out to Kiev and other towns and out of town, you're only allowed to go for 2 years.
Right.
Limit time you can be.
Right.
Because of this problem, you get too.
It gets eroded. Yeah. There's definitely an erosion. There's definitely an erosion. And of course, naturally, you have family, and the children get older, and then
that's the price you pay.
Yeah, and then there's burnout. There's just burnout because it really is. It's quite taxing. So, it is the way of a person to be drawn after the way of behaving and thinking of his friends. This is the lashon of the Rambam. And he acts according to Hilchos Deos, the lashon of the Rambam in Hilchos Deos. And he normally will act in the way of the people of his country. The way they do, he does. Therefore, a person has to make every effort to cleave to, spend time, connect himself to Tzaddikim, and to dwell, to sit among the wise, in order to learn from their good deeds. And distance oneself from the wicked who go in the ways of darkness, in order not to learn from their ways. Because that's generally how it works. A person is influenced by his environment, and if he puts himself in a bad environment, it's going to affect him badly. And that's what King Solomon of blessed memory said. One who goes with the wise will become wise. And one who becomes friendly with the foolish will become evil, become bad. And furthermore, it says in Mishlei,
You have to have a strong personality to do this.
yeah,
I mean, to be in Kiev,
yeah,
otherwise.
yeah. You have to be a strong personality, and you also have to be anchored somewhere. You have to be anchored somewhere so you're constantly recharged.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you just get depleted until you waste away. And furthermore, it says, happy is the person who does not go in the way of the wicked, etc. If he's in a country where its customs are evil, and the people of that place do not go in a straight path, he should leave that place and go to a place where there are righteous people who act in the right way. So if a person, let's say, lives in an area, a country or a state, I was thinking more like San Francisco. So a person's attitudes become eroded, and you find that even from people who live in these places are affected, and they have a more liberal take on things. More tolerant in accepting things that might have to do with hers and hers, or his and his, and things like that. It's just V'mayu kol medinos shehu yoda'am, or let's say he's a rabbi and he works with students, high school or college age students who are using drugs and things, and he's friendly with them, so he talks to them about it and he hears about it and what they do and this, that, and the other. So the import of these things can be eroded, so he doesn't really look at it so bad. Well, they're just kids and they'll grow out of it, and I'll overlook it because in the meantime they're coming to shir and whatever. So, but he loses the sensitivity of the wrongness of the thing. Until there comes a point, like sometimes kids in the past, hey, Rabbi, you want to come with us? Like, what are you talking about? I mean, I'm your friend and everything, but
Wow, someone has told you that before?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, guys have said.
You said no,
And I said, no, yeah. Anyway, V'imayu kol medinos shehu yodam v'shomea v'shmuasam noagim v'derech lo tova, and if all of the countries that he's aware of and all of the different places that he knows of are in a bad way, or he knows a good place but he just can't get there because of armies or that might bar a person's passage to those places, or because of sickness, so he basically can't get to a better place. He's kind of spiritually landlocked. He can't get away. What should he do? Yeshev levado yechidi. He should live alone. Kinyan Shneimar that says, Yeshev badad v'yidom ki notol olav. Yoshev badad v'yidom, let him sit alone and be quiet, ki notol olav. What is that? How would you translate that? Ki notol olav. Let him sit alone and keep silence. They don't bring the rest of the verse. Ki notol olav. I guess that's not really. Yeah, I avoided the problem. Yeah. Okay. But if they were evil and sinning, and if, since he can't get away, he's with people who won't let him be by himself, they want to let him alone until he does what they want him to do, until he acts like everybody else, then what does he do? Yetze lemarois v'lechavochim v'lemidbaros. Then he should go out into the caves and into the wilderness and into the deserts. They translate here avochim as ravines. A ravine. Chavochim. So those are ravines. And midbaros, the wilderness. Val yinagatzmo b'der chatoim, and let him not go in the ways of the sinners. Ki inyan shneimar, as it says, mit teneni b'midbar maloin orchim. The prophet Yirmiyahu, when contemplating the wickedness of his surroundings, says, who would let me go and dwell in the wilderness, to be alone in a clean place, free of the sinning that's going on around me? That's what Yirmiyahu said. And all of this was taken, as I mentioned, from the Rambam, Hilchos Deos, Perek Vav, chapter 6, Halacha Aleph. This is the well-known Rambam from Hilchos Deos. Okay. Very interesting chapter on flattery.
Where did that last word have to do with flattery? It didn't, right?
Well, it did in general, because it was saying that a person, when a person tries to find favor in other people's eyes, he might be drawn after their behavior. And that's a form of flattery. That's a form of flattery. So what he's saying is that a person should avoid that and actually not seek the company of these evildoers, but actually avoid it and run away from it, even if it means living alone in a desert cave somewhere. Better to do that than...
It's so bad that you might as well.
So sometimes you might as well. Yeah.
If you can't find.
So if you can go to a better place, go to a better place. If you can't get to that better place, stay where you are and just be to yourself. But if the people there won't let you won't let you alone, they won't let you keep to yourself, they insist that you be intermingled with them, then go. Isolate yourself even in the wilderness and not be involved in that type of a thing.